Why the sky shaped human history. Before there were maps, before there were clocks, before there were smartphones, humanity looked upward at the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars, the changing seasons, the movements of planets across the darkness. For thousands of years, the sky was humanity's greatest natural calendar. It helped people understand when to plant, when to harvest, when to travel, when seasons were changing, and when important moments were approaching. Welcome back to Astrology from an AI perspective. Today we explore why the sky shaped human history, not as a horoscope, not as a prediction, but as a journey through astronomy, ancient cultures, navigation, calendars, mythology, and the human desire to understand the world. Imagine living thousands of years ago. No digital clock, no weather application, no GPS, no satellite imagery. If you wanted to understand time, you looked toward the sky. The sun gave humanity one of the most obvious cycles. Day, night, and the changing position of the sun across the year revealed something even greater. The seasons. The moon offered another visible rhythm. Its phases created a repeating cycle that humans could observe without instruments. And beyond the moon, there were the stars. Night after night, certain patterns appeared to remain recognizable. Constellations became landmarks in the darkness. Humans gave them names, stories, characters, animals, heroes, gods. The night sky became a giant storybook, but it was also practical. Ancient travelers could use stars for navigation. Sailors learned to recognize celestial patterns. Travelers crossing deserts could use the sky as a guide. The stars helped transform an apparently endless landscape into something that could be navigated. And the sky also shaped agriculture. Civilizations depended upon knowing when seasons would change. A mistake in timing could mean a failed harvest, so people carefully watched celestial cycles. The appearance of particular stars, the position of the sun, the changing length of daylight, the phases of the moon. The sky became connected to survival. And eventually, humanity began organizing time itself around celestial cycles. Calendars emerged. Different civilizations developed different systems. But behind many of them was the same observation. The sky moves in patterns. Those patterns can be measured, recorded, compared, and remembered. This is where astronomy and astrology once walked closely together. Ancient skywatchers didn't always separate the scientific observation of the heavens from symbolic interpretation in the way modern society does. They watched celestial movements and created meanings around them. Planets became associated with gods. Constellations became part of mythology. Celestial cycles became connected with earthly events. Over thousands of years, these ideas developed into complex traditions. Eventually, astronomy and astrology became distinct fields. Astronomy focused increasingly on physical explanations, observation, measurement, mathematics, and the nature of the universe. Astrology continued developing as a symbolic and interpretive system, but their shared origin remains fascinating. Both began with humans looking upward. Artificial intelligence gives us a new way to examine this history. AI can compare ancient texts, analyze astronomical records, identify patterns across cultures, translate historical documents, and connect information separated by centuries. And when we examine human history through this perspective, one thing becomes clear: the sky wasn't simply above humanity. It was part of humanity's environment. It influenced how people measured time, how they navigated, how they farmed, how they told stories, how they organized calendars, how they imagined the universe, and how they understood their place within it. Perhaps this explains why celestial imagery appears in so many civilizations. The stars became symbols of permanence. The sun became associated with life. The moon became connected with cycles and change. The heavens became a place where humans projected their deepest questions. Where did we come from? Where are we going? Are we alone? What is our place in the universe? These questions are ancient, but they remain surprisingly modern. Today, we use space telescopes instead of naked eyes, satellites instead of stars for navigation, atomic clocks instead of watching the sun, computers instead of handwritten astronomical tables, artificial intelligence instead of manually calculating enormous datasets. Yet, we are still looking upward. The technology changed. The questions didn't disappear. And perhaps that is the most fascinating lesson. Human history is partly the story of our changing relationship with the sky. First, we watched it. Then, we measured it. Then, we mapped it. Then, we traveled using it. Eventually, we began leaving our planet to explore it. The sky that once seemed like an unreachable ceiling became a destination. The Zodiac moves through 12 symbolic stages. But humanity's relationship with the heavens is much larger than the Zodiac. It is a story of curiosity, survival, navigation, timekeeping, imagination, science, and exploration. Maybe the greatest lesson isn't that the sky controls humanity. It's that humanity has always been shaped by its attempt to understand the sky. From the first person who recognized a recurring constellation, to the astronomer studying distant galaxies, to the child who looks upward and asks, "What's out there?" The question remains. And perhaps that question itself has shaped human history more than we realize. If you enjoyed this exploration, subscribe to Astrology from an AI perspective for documentary-style videos exploring astrology, astronomy, mythology, psychology, philosophy, artificial intelligence, ancient civilizations, symbolism, and the timeless relationship between humanity and the cosmos. Until next time, look upward, stay curious, and remember, before humanity explored the universe, we first learned to wonder at the sky.